week, you hear the REO Speedwagon. We welcome in now from the Locked On Brewers podcast, the silver-haired Kevin Cronin to Bill Michaels, Chuck Freimund. Chuck, welcome today.
I'll tell you what, I'm proud to be a cliffhanger of radio sportscasting. How about that?
Same, me. I just show up every day and hope that I'm still able to turn on this microphone. I actually relate to that comment. It brings the best out of us, right?
Oh, we all are in the radio business, because you never know. I mean, we can be here one day and people can love you and all that, and all of a sudden that key's not working the next morning as you're trying to get to the radio station, and you're like, holy cow.
Yeah, both of us were regular Brandon Lockridge and Anthony Siegler types. What's the biggest difference between this team through 2 playoff games so far compared to the last couple playoff runs that all kind of ended unceremoniously the same way?
I just feel like this team has got a lot of a fight to them. When they get down, like they gave the 1 run the previous night and then the 3 runs last night, it's not like the game's over. And I'm telling you, I feel like that's the biggest difference between Murphy teams and Counsell teams. Murphy teams have got some fight in them. Counsell, as you saw last night, they hit that 3-run home run, and then the Brewers came right back, and the Cubs were finished. I mean, what an embarrassing performance for the Cubs. But you know what? We've seen that with Counsell teams in Milwaukee. That's why I call the Cubs team lifeless. They take on the personality of their manager, and they have zero fight to them. And I've seen that several times this year, and people are going to say, well, they still made the playoffs. Well, the Brewers have a lot of fight, and they don't. They do. They. That's why they're called the fighting woodpeckers, because they just keep coming after you.
Well, and I don't want to just pick the low-hanging Craig Counsell fruit, but I don't think we're accurately talking about last night's game if we don't go, the Cubs on offense kind of look like the Brewers did in Craig's last couple of years. They're not stacking one at-bat with the next. They're not putting together rallies. Craig said it after the game. They're not putting any pressure on the Brewers, not enough runners on base. It can't be as simple as it's a Craig Counsell thing, but Chuck, we have eyes. We're watching it. It certainly seems like it's a Craig Counsell thing.
Well, it's funny because I was watching the Cubs last year, and I was thinking, I was like, man, and this year, some of the same things I'm seeing with the Cubs, I saw when Counsell was managing here.
Yeah.
Just a lifeless. I mean, I remember so many times Counsell coming to the podium, and he's had some good teams here. Well, it was a pretty cool, just the way he wobbles his head around. Well, it's a pretty quiet night here tonight. Not much going on. Didn't get much things started. And he was talking about that same sort of thing last night. I just feel like you do. And I feel like Murphy manages this team like he's coaching a college baseball team. He's giving instructions. There's no letting up. And and I don't know if that's going to work long term, but for the short term, it's working a lot. And there's a reason why he should be unanimous manager of the year in the National League.
My first thought when I was getting ready to go to bed last night, it's like, man, because watch those Cubs at bats from like the 5th inning on.
Mm-hmm.
Brewers pitchers were sharp and they were all great. Patrick looked good. Miz, what a performance. We can talk about that next. But McGill, Uribe, they all looked good.
Mm-hmm.
But Cubs hitters were just kind of getting up there and just waving, especially in the 9th against Uribe. I mean, they're just throwing the bat at the ball. There was no battle. There was no fight. And my thought before I was going to bed was, man, if the Brewers offense turned out a performance like that, Murphy would give it to him in the press conference, which
sure.
It would just be a press conference, but I know that would climb up Murphy's ass. And I don't know if it climbs up Craig's ass or if he's just like, yeah, that was the type of night that it was. And, we got to try to be better next time.
You look at the Brewers lineup and you look at the Cubs lineup and you look at it and you say, like if these two were in a layup line, you would say, well, this team should win. What the Brewers got. And the Brewers got a bunch of guys who are 5'6" and 5'7" up there taking their licks. And the Cubs got some players on that team, and yet it's the Brewers who have dominated the first 2 games. That's why I said when the series started, throw out the fact that the Cubs won the season series, even throw out the fact that the Brewers won the division title. The Brewers may not be the most talented team in the league, but they sure play the best baseball in the league.
Yeah, and I'm not saying the Brewers don't have anybody. They have a couple great like what Chourio's done, and I want to get to that with you as well. But the Cubs offense doesn't suck. That's the thing. Like their personnel is not as bad as they've looked, and even great teams have bad stretches. But with the Brewers, like if they're going to go down, they're going to go down putting guys on base, giving themselves opportunities, and the Cubs really haven't done that. Chuck Freimund is here. You've been covering the Brewers a long time. Have you ever seen a player forget as young as Jackson Chourio, just forget his age. Have you ever seen a player perform in moments like this? Through his career so far, 9 of 17, 3 home runs, a double, 9 RBIs, a stolen base, and only 1 strikeout.
This is what I thought Gary Sheffield was going to be like when he was first up with the Milwaukee Brewers in 1988. He came up in September of 1988 and 89, and by 89 he was already having problems with the team. Chourio is of that talent without all the drama. Sheffield, everywhere he went, caused problems, including here. Chourio's not that way. Same age category, they're early 20s. Chourio's just an amazing talent, and the way he's risen. He's 10 of 18 in 5 postseason games with the Brewers. He's got 3 home runs. He's among the league leaders, among the Brewers' all-time leaders in postseason home runs.
One more, and he'll tie the illustrious Orlando Arcia. He just needs one more.
And I don't know if I should be happy about that or sad about that, because that explains a lot about the history of the Milwaukee Brewers and how little they've been into the postseason. But he's just amazing. I thought he would either not play yesterday, or Grant, I thought he would DH, if anything. Yeah. He clearly was not 100%. You can watch him out there. He was not 100%, but it didn't prevent him from banging one off the scoreboard last night.
Yeah, and P. Crow Armstrong made an attempt, a noble attempt to get up there and try to grab it.
How about that?
I respect
he made a leaping grab. The ball was 50 feet above him.
PCA is awesome. I know he's been fighting at the plate, but he tracked down a ball in the left center field gap. I think it was Durbin, and I just went, holy smokes. I thought that was an easy double, and PCA barely had to sprint to get there. So I'm not knocking PCA. It was just a funny visual and a funny play. I was surprised that Miz was on the playoff roster. I was very nervous when they brought him in, and I was thinking, man, I'd rather have Tobias Myers here in the spot. But man, is that the performance that sets him maybe back on track and puts him in a place where he could be the elite playoff weapon we thought that maybe we'd had, 3 months ago when he first came up?
Well, with Miz, there's times when you looked and you thought, boy, the moment he's getting caught up in it, he's walking guys. Last night was not that time. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be on track. I mean, because the next time he's out there, he could. You just don't know. He's a young guy. He's still trying to find himself. But he threw 2 pitches 104 miles an hour. That's how amped up he was. And I loved the emotion that he showed.
Cubs people did not. That was very polarizing on the internet last night.
But if one of their guys was doing it, an old school baseball guy is going to look at it, oh, what's he doing? He's tarnishing the game. Or what Contreras did, the telephone thing. Baseball needs some personality, for crying out loud. Let's face it, it's a faceless, bland game sometimes without personality. They need some personality like that. Do you ever see a Major League Baseball player doing any commercials? No. It's about personality. It's about marketing your game. And I'm telling you, the picture of Miz is probably on, if there was a newspaper, it'd be in every newspaper around the country today. Or the Contreras dial-up. It was, how cool. I have no problem with it. I thought it was fantastic. It had some flash to the game a little bit.
Do you now feel differently if they go to Mizorowski in a future game? Do you feel differently, and do you feel less nervous or more optimistic given what we saw last night? Did that check some boxes maybe that you needed to see checked?
No, not at all. I've seen a pitch every game so far this year, Grant, and I still feel we're at a point where who knows what we're going to get out of the next outing. I mean, I just feel like that's the way. We caught him on a good night last night. He was amped up, gave up 1 hit, struck out 4, 3 innings, scoreless. But who knows? I've seen this before where he's come out and he's pitched great, and the next one not so good, where he's walking guys. So it's really day to day. It's up, down, down. But that's the personality of him as a pitcher right now. I wasn't surprised though he was on the postseason roster. I was surprised Gasser was on though.
I saw some smart Brewers scribes pointing out that he's got a good sweeper, and the Cubs struggle against the sweeper. I mean, whatever. Take your pick, Tobias Myers, Robert Gasser. Myers performed so well in the postseason last year, and he'd been good out of the pen. So if you need another bulk guy, who maybe, look, Gasser might never pitch in this series. And if Myers was on the roster, he might never have pitched either. So it's probably not the most important thing in the world. But I don't know. I thought Myers would maybe be there. It kind of felt like a coin flip as to whether
I did too. I thought Myers would be a part of this. I really did. He was a big part of it last year, the short series, but not even make the playoff roster. How about that? two guys who you thought maybe going into the season, Tobias Myers, pitcher of the year on the varsity level last year.
Mm-hmm.
Hoskins, your big free agent sign up from a couple of seasons ago. Who would have guessed when the season started? Those are two guys you were counting on to be pretty big keys of your team. And they didn't make the postseason roster, at least the divisional series level. And I don't see Hoskins making the postseason roster any of these as far as the Brewers go.
Yeah, I wonder what Hoskins was thinking watching the game last night. He's just, it's such a, and I'm sure he's as frustrated as anybody with the way these last 2 years have gone. I loved the signing by the Brewers. I'd do it again 10 times out of 10. It just, it just never worked. It never got off the ground. And who knows, maybe he's on the roster for the next series. He has a big moment if they're able to advance. We'll see. Lastly, Chuck Freimund, the Locked On Brewers podcast here. I think Contreras is such a huge part of this team. His emotion, his personality, calling games. And I like to get on him because he's playing through this broken hand. And I'm like, why don't you just get healthy? But I tell you what he's shown through these first 2 games at the plate, he looks locked in. He looks healthy enough. And he didn't really last year against the Mets. He looked like he wasn't all there last year. If this is the version of Contreras they're going to get in this series and in any series moving forward, I think I have to lift my ceiling for what this team could maybe accomplish.
Oh, Wild Bill has been amazing. And Murphy kind of pointed this out in his post-game press conference. He goes, "So what do I talk about every day?"
I was surprised it took Kurt so long to answer. I'm yelling it when I'm at home, listening to the presser.
Although I would have said even Perkins, he talks a lot about Perkins.
Yep.
He talks about a lot about Perkins too. But I mean, Contreras, and he's right. I mean, not only Contreras at the plate, but he worked through 7 pitchers last night. Contreras did. I mean, you're thinking of the team, but the catcher has got to work with 7 different pitchers,
including one guy who's throwing 104.
Yeah, including and guys who like Chad Patrick who've never pitched in the postseason. Same with the Miz, guys who've never pitched in a postseason game before, and he's trying to get these guys all on the same page. So not only is that, but Contreras behind the plate having to work through all that as well. I just think he's been fantastic. Did you saw the player's journal thing, right? Where he talked about he didn't want to play in Milwaukee.
It was pretty cool.
But I feel like a lot of people have that sentiment, but they come here. They like being a part of the organization. They realize how great the organization is and the fan base and all that.
They win.
And then they love it. Now, Contreras said he wants to spend the rest of his career here. We'll see if that actually happens because I hope it does.
We'll see, buddy. I don't know. A couple years as that arbitration number goes up, maybe we can trade you for a slew of prospects.
We'll see. And let's not lowball the guy too when that time comes. Mark Athanasio.
All right. So lastly, as we wrap up, as this series continues and whatever comes next, what content can we find from you and where can we find that content?
Oh, I appreciate it, Grant. Locked On Brewers, Google, Spotify, Apple, wherever you download your audio podcasts. We're on all the audio platforms out there. #1 Brewers podcast on the internet. And of course, if you already found us on the audio platforms, on YouTube, search Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. We're on all these different platforms daily, 7 days a week now that we're in the postseason, doing it every day, Grant, putting out the good content.
Now, hopefully the Brewer season lasts a little longer. Do you have any time to get up to the Chippewa Valley to golf anytime soon? Dunn County?
I have wanted to go to Wild Ridge every summer. I say I'm getting up there. I have not been to Wild Ridge since 2020. I love that course. It's one of my favorite courses in the state. I'm looking to go up there. I love Eau Claire. If I didn't live where I lived, I would love to live in Eau Claire. I love Eau Claire. But yeah, Wild Ridge. I love the Chippewa Valley. We're still on in the Chippewa Valley, right?
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's
Chippewa Valley. Yeah. No, big thumbs up. Give me the Eau Claire area. Give me Wild Ridge Golf Course. 7 days a week. I love it. I just have not had a chance, and I'm not going to have a chance this fall either.
Well, we'll get something on the books for next summer. I can drive the cart for you and Bill if you just let me take a couple of swings. That's all I require.
Oh, there we go. You can maybe or putt in the green. I used to do that when my kid was young. I just said, hey, you just putt in the green.
Yeah, I'll shoot it over the other side, but it'll be fun. We'll have a good time. Chuck, I got to run. I appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the run. We'll talk next week.
You're the best. Talk to you soon.
No, you, Chuck Freimund.